Right, hello. Hopefully you can hear and see me. I had a weird thing just now when I was setting up the screen. Setting up the stream, my screen went off, and I have no idea what was wrong with it. I ended up having to go behind it and pulling the power plug out, putting it in a couple of times. Like none of my other stuff went off, so it wasn't a power cut, but it just suddenly went off, like the wire had been pulled out, even though it was still in, which was strange. But yeah, I've got the Russian Cyclops night vision here, right, Mike? So I'll hold that up to the camera so you can see through it. I'll just flick this light off because, as you can see, I've got my camera lens for it now, so it is all working. So there's that. Let me see if I can focus it a bit more for the webcam. Right, let me try focusing the rear aperture first, in case that's the one. Is focusing. That blurrier or clearer? It's blurrier. Definitely blurrier. Problem is, I think the autofocus keeps trying to correct it and then making the problem. Yes, that's that. And with this lens, that's the exposure, so you might as well have that all the way up. And this also focuses it slightly. Right, everybody. So yeah, this is a good bit of night vision because obviously it's the one where I've had to fit the camera lens to it, so that's arrived. So this is the most interesting one. So I'll turn the light back on in a minute. I just need to let this cool down. And what I need to do is try and find a camera cap that fits this, which I can then put a little hole in to have it, safe to use. So I don't worry about, if I turn the light on in a minute, it damaging the thing. So yeah, this is quite a nice field of view now on this night vision. So that's definitely the exposure one. So I want to keep that at full. That's the range bit, isn't it? Just want to see if I can focus it a bit more. But with some of these lenses, it's quite hard to sort of focus them by hand all that well. Yeah, there we go. So that's quite interesting anyway. Oh, yeah, the X-ray, but yeah, if I just put that up so you can see it. There's that. I'll just show you the IR light actually with it that's meant to work with it, because I think I've got that on there somewhere. Let me just work out where I put it, because I'm feeling around in the dark for it at the moment. So give me one moment and I will demonstrate the IR light it came with as well. Just need to remember which helmet or whatever I put the IR light with it that it came with, because I can't actually remember I put it now. Oh dear. I was going to see if that was any good, but I can't actually test it, can I? Because I've not got the thing for it. Right, so what I'll do in a second is I'll just turn the lights back on. And once the night vision has cooled down on its optic, yeah, that's cooling down. So what I'll do is I'll flick this light on to begin with, then I'll flick the ceiling light on. That's good. You got free food then. I guess we'll see who Mike blocked. Somebody spamming the chat, was it? Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, like Mike says, hope you're doing all right. So you had your Rontgen ray, because Rontgen invented the X-ray or discovered the X-ray apparently, which is sort of interesting. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, Rich. I bet it's because I had a video that went live today, because that's what I reckon from the last time I did a stream, is that I reckon if you do a notification on a day, the same day of the stream, or within a certain amount of hours of doing the stream, it will only do one notification per day. So, like, let's say you upload a video on the same day as you do a stream, whichever one's first, it will send a notification out for, but not the others. I reckon that's the problem. Didn't you see it when I was showing it? Right, I'm not going to turn it right back on now because I want to turn the lights on properly in a second, but what I need to do now, I've got that light on. Oh, it was there where I was feeling all long and I couldn't spot it. There was the IR illuminator, it was there. Oh, are they all right though? Because I know sometimes you can have things like that, can't you, where there's bits that aren't quite right. If I could somehow get that to stay in there, I could put that in there and then put the thing on it, but... Right, so let's try it with the IR illuminator. Hello, troubled man. So I just want to see how good this IR illuminator was that came with it, because it's still a pretty old gen type one. Because I mean, modern IR flashlights like one I've got are a lot better. But right, so that's that with the IR illuminator on. So how bright is that? You can definitely see the IR illuminator when it's like shut. So yeah, that's it as a focus light then, isn't it? Because it's quite hard trying to look through the camera. This, so that's where it's obviously hitting my face. But I'm assuming the only thing is, can you see it far enough if you shine it on the wall? I'll just give that a quick test down here. I know you won't be able to see this on the screen, but what I want to see is if I'm looking through that. Oh yeah, you can see that IR. So this does throw the light a decent distance then. The interesting thing is this one's focusable. So what I want to try and do now is just see what happens if you adjust the focus. So that makes it more like a generic torch, but you can't throw the light as fast. Okay, that's what that does. Now let me just check what happens if you take the cover off. You know, and have the bulb exposed directly. What the sort of pattern's like. Obviously, this is the focusing lens for the bulb. So that's obviously just the bulb on its own. What does this look like? Now, to be honest, even without the focusing thing on, it's all right. I'd actually kind of prefer it like that because it's just the bulb's own profile. Wherever the focusing thing, it's going to cut a bit off. But the night vision, Jesse, I'll flick the IR illuminator off for it now before I put this back on. The IR illuminator and everything, and the night vision was, I got it for about 40 odd pounds on an eBay auction, but I had to buy the camera lens for it. Sounds better than the food you get at the British hospitals, I think. But then again, you know, it probably depends how much you're paying, right? I'm just going to wait for that to cool down again, because as I said, the problem with night vision optics is they kind of have to cool down. So once you've taken your hand off the power switch or whatever, you have to wait for them to properly turn off, because if I turn the light on now, it can obviously damage it. So what I'll do is I'll do a two-stage thing. I will pop this light on here. And then what I'll do is I will turn on the ceiling light. I can show you now a bit better how I've configured the Cyclops. That's good, it was free. But yeah, so this is the Cyclops. So this is obviously it on its thing. Now, is that a thing that should be adjustable there or not? I don't know, actually. But yeah, how this works is with the Cyclops. That's right, Conrad. Glad you enjoyed the videos. Is saying when I first had it, I couldn't use it because it's just literally like that. You have to have a lens on it. Now, the interesting thing is the official lenses that came with this, the reason mine didn't have it, was that the lenses that come with these are really popular. So a lot of people buy them specifically to get the camera lenses off of them. But because it's a universal sort of fitting, but an old type of fitting, you can go on eBay and, you know, like find old camera lenses that fit it. Now, I don't know if this is a kind of ideal one for it because it's not, you know, the type that came with it, but it does seem pretty good. So if anybody's actually interested in the lens itself, I'll just show you that there. I'm not really into camera lenses, so, you know, if it will focus. Come on. Come on, webcam. There we go. So it says Soligor or something. It's 132 lens. Oh, sorry, 135, 35mm. And it's an M42 mount. Yeah, what I'm waiting for, Mike, is for that to fill out a bit more, because I think if I have a shaved head and then it still be a bit bum fluffy in places, it might be a bit pink. All right, hype. Yep. So is NZT1 a different name for the Cyclops? But yeah, at the moment I'm just trying to catch up. So yeah, that's the lens I've put on it. So again, it was just a cheap lens I found on eBay. So there's obviously all the different parameters on this one. It's kind of nice that you can adjust the exposure using the lens, because obviously that means, I suppose in theory, if rather than having a cap on it, I could just put the exposure fully down, then it should be fine. Charles Bronson, yeah. Yeah, the prisoner Charles Bronson. You're right. Yeah, that's like strongman moustache you'd have to do, wouldn't you, if you're doing that? So yeah, I'm just kind of tempted what adjustments you can do. So this one has like the distance. Now, what bit on here is the bit? Ah, it will be that bit with the red arrow, won't it, I assume? So let's set that to the shortest possible distance for the focus, even though we're not using it like a camera. Now, I'm assuming, yeah, this one just, that's what confused me, because that one turns with that one, because it's actually that. And then, so there's two bits here. So you can turn these independently. So there's the black one and the silver one. So you can set them between 2216, or it's 22, 16, 11, 8, 5.6, 4, 3.5. That's what I'll find out in a second, because I was a bit confused by how these turned. What I will just do quickly is I want to try and get these labels off of here, because I don't know if that's preventing any of them from turning properly. But let's get that off. And what I'll do, I will put it back on the night vision, and we'll turn the lights off again, and we'll have a play about and see if we can work out what it does. Okay. All right, thank you. So yeah, that's what is hype then. Yeah, NZT1. Is that what it says on the IR illuminator? Hang on. Oh no, it just says AP1Y. So I guess that's the name of just the illuminator rather than anything else. But yeah, so I guess this is the export version or whatever. And if it was domestic, yep, you can get them like that. I didn't actually go for that, but yeah, I could get a zoomable lens. I wanted a wide field of view one, so I could actually look around with it more easily. Because most of my other binoculars all have a bit of zoom. But yeah, you can get zoomable ones for this, and I might get that at some point, because it would be quite cool to configure a night vision optic to how you want it. But yeah, what I'll do now is I'll flick the lights off again, and we'll see what different things we can do with it by adjusting different things. Same for distance, I'm just going to leave that set to the shortest one, because I don't need, that doesn't seem to affect it too much anyway. But I suppose it's because yeah, that'd be good, Rich. I don't know if I'm going to go for a strongman moustache, but yeah, that's, I mean, if it looks good as a Charles Bronson sort of thing, I'd do that. So let's get that one focused. That's about right for my eye. Right, so we were going to have a look, weren't we, at what the difference was between that black one and the silver one. Right, that seems to affect the exposure of the black one, but what about the silver one? Because the problem is they link into each other when you get them to a certain bit. Right, so I can't actually work out what that's doing on its own. Like the black one is definitely exposure, because if you look for that now, you probably won't see anything, because I've got the exposure right down. If I put the exposure up again, if I can find the right bit to twist with my hand, there, that's that. But yeah, that's strange. I can't actually figure out what this one does on its own, because the image isn't changing at all. But I don't know if that's because it's not set up for a camera. No, I've never shot a silence Glock. So that is the aperture. So yeah, if it's camera aperture, but yeah, let's just try the front ring with moving that one in combination with the front ring. Will that do anything? If I find the right one again to adjust. No, that's the it's a bit fiddly trying to find the bits on here. There we go. No, it doesn't seem to actually do anything, which I assume is because, again, it's not being used currently on camera. It's being used, I might as well set that back to full. But yeah, it does seem quite a good night vision quality with this lens, but again, it seems to be that it's kind of quite a fixed focus. So you know, looking at things at certain distances are clearer than others. Yeah, this does work well. I'll just show you, obviously, again. You finally got notification quite late. But yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody. But yeah, obviously that's what the focus looks like on it. Let's see if I can get that on there well enough. What I'll do is just move that along so you can see. Sort of the focal sort of range. But in terms of reading text with it, let's see. Well, my eyesight's not good enough to do that, but yeah, you can. Oh, now I've adjusted this ring slightly, it's even better. And yeah, that actually, I just wonder, will any of these make a difference, do you reckon, depending on how I've got this focused? So let's. I think it is just clearest on that far setting. Yeah, it is. So it does change it slightly, it's just not that significant. Yeah, when you've got this focused properly, you can read text quite well with it. Because I can see the Lua site and the phosgene posters there. I wonder, can you use this one to adjust for different ranges slightly? I know that's not what the rear optics are for. But this is mostly like eye relief kind of one, isn't it? But it sounds like the rain's quite heavy. But yeah, you can, by moving this ever so slightly, sort of correct it slightly. Well, Soviet chemicals, Soviet filters have asbestos in up for most of the models, but they don't necessarily have chemicals. Now, what I'm going to do is if I just turn the exposure all the way down for a moment. There we go. I'm assuming now I can turn the light on and there won't be a problem. Oh yeah, that's cool. So yeah, you can use the exposure switch to use it in different lighting conditions. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, so that's interesting. So obviously normally you'd want the exposure fully up, but it means obviously if you're turning the lights on, you can use the exposure to turn it down so you don't overload the sensor with light. Right, I'll go to the comments properly in the chat now, because obviously I've shown you the night vision for a bit, so I don't have to mess about with it too much. But yeah, obviously the issue is when you're playing about the night vision, you can't really read in the chat at the same time. But yeah, I had a nice drink on my birthday, Iron Man. I only had a pint and a half, but I did have some quite nice sort of Czech pills and the stuff that was good. Obviously, as I've said, with some of the medication I'm on, I have to be very careful with what I'm drinking, just because they can interfere quite horribly. Right, Romanian militaria. I don't think I actually do, sadly. In terms of, I've got a Romanian car, but I don't have any like gas masks and anything that are Romanian. Pretty well. I mean, if the PC monitor is on, I can see everything in the room. In terms of if it's completely dark and there's just a tiny bit of light coming through the curtains, you can still see stuff without an IR illuminator on it. But yeah, it seems to work well. I'm trying to think out of all the night vision devices, which one I have is the best in terms of quality. Because I actually think, weirdly, that first one I got might still be the best one. But obviously this one's quite dependent, isn't it, on what sort of camera lens you put on it for a lot of the factors. But this one, obviously I'm not going to flick it on now the light's on. Actually, I can with this one, can't I? Because it's got that on there. This one is probably actually my favourite out of all of them. You can't really focus it annoyingly with that cover on there because it sort of blocks the focus ring, but this one's quite good. And then, yeah, that other one that came the other day, this is good, but obviously the main advantage of this, I think, is the compact size. Whereas in terms of like quality, the main thing I've noticed of this one, I think I said on the Discord, Although I like this, the issue I've been having a bit with it is if there's a light source somewhere and you're trying to look in the shadows close by, you get quite a lot of like almost like lens flare on this one, which you don't seem to on the other two. Yeah, I'll just turn this one on so you can see this one. This is obviously a really nice convenient size, and it's brand new for like £40 odd, isn't it? Rather than being a So yeah, there's that one. I didn't actually put the batteries in it that came with it because I don't know if they're different voltage than the other ones I bought. These are 1.5 volts. I'll have to check the ones I put in if they were 1.5 or if they were a lower voltage, because that might make a difference. The BEM 4GP is really good about the drinking tube. Apparently some of the ones with the drinking tubes had like the leaking issues. 400 now for a G3 is a good price. They used to be cheaper than that, but again, DIAC price is expensive. So yeah, if you've got 400 to spend and you want to get a DIAC, that isn't a bad price for a G3. Yeah, Bob Ross is great with all his painting stuff. Rest in peace, Bob Ross. But yeah. Right, Stug. So yeah, for Dr. Terminator show, although I don't have any Romanian stuff, what I can tell you today is I finally got around to doing that video you wanted done on the night vision, where I compared some of the optical ones I've got, the digital one and the FLIR, talking about kind of the pros and cons of thermals versus digitals and all that. So that will be about a month before you can see it, but I have finally done it, and it was like an 18-minute long video. Because what I did in that video was first talked about different kinds of night vision as best I could, because I'm really not an expert on night vision. And then what I did is I put the lights off and, you know, put each one up to the camera so you could see how they'd appear. And I was obviously making the point in the video that they all look better with your eye actually on them than looking through a camera. But I didn't want to film using the FLIR and film using the Night Fox, but then have to hold one like this up to the camera, because then if you do that, it's unfair for the night vision device. You have to hold up for the camera. People, you know, think the quality looks far worse on that one than it does on the others. Pros and cons of a drinking tube. Well, on the BEM 4GP, the problem was the drinking tubes, I think, had a leaking problem. That's why they took them off. In most masks, the pros of a drinking tube is obviously you can hydrate yourself with the mask on. In terms of like disadvantages, obviously some drinking tube setups aren't that good in terms of like the drinking tube can poke you in the face. Some aren't that good for allowing water flow through them, so it's very slow to drink with. Some could obviously compromise the integrity of the mask. If something goes wrong with the drinking tube, it could let gas in or whatever. Okay, that's interesting, Hype. Thanks for letting me know that. But yeah, because I know with a lot of flashlights and torches, if you put higher voltage batteries in them, they get brighter, but obviously you can risk burning your bulbs out faster. But yeah, thanks for that. It's just, yeah, interesting, because that's the problem with night vision. I don't really know enough about all these factors to know if it would make a difference or not. But, you know, it's an interesting thing. Well, what do you mean an update on the gas mask collection? Because I've shown in videos, there'll be obviously more upcoming videos where I get new masks and show them. But as I've said, it's impossible for me to show all my masks in one video. And I did a video not too long ago, like how I store all my surplus, that shows everything just strewn out everywhere. Most expensive gas mask I own. The one I paid the most for was my XM28E4. I've managed to rip now, unfortunately. In terms of what would be the most valuable for its like buying selling price, that's hard to say. I mean, in terms of like modern ones, I've got an M50, so there's that. But then I've also got things like C7s, which are fairly rare. How does it work then, Chris? Fill me in. I'm interested. And we have to hope that YouTube doesn't delete your comment after you post it, in case it thinks a word in it is censored or whatever. But yeah, out of all the drinking tubes I've used on masks, which is my favourite? Probably the Finnish M98 I like, or Scott M98, because that's quite a simple drinking tube system. But generally it has to... The M17A2's drinking tube system I actually quite like. As I've said before, with PMK3s and pretty much any mask I don't own, If I see one for a good price and good postage, I'll get it. The issue is, if I never see one for a good price, I'm not going to spend silly money on it, because that's just a waste of money. Yeah. Also thinks what happens if you get shocked by it. But yeah, saying that, even with that little tiny NZT, you can hear it go ever so slightly. Not the high-pitched whine, but you can hear a kind of, funny little noise it makes. Oh, that's cool. So how would you unfold it? Is it just a switch that unfolds it to get it in your mouth? I would definitely say a hose filter, but I assume you mean a hose with a big filter attached to it, like like a small box respirator, like box filter or whatever you want to call it, like an EO14, like those filters there behind my hand. Oh, that's a good price, Doug. But yeah, I've never seen them for that price. Okay, yeah, so it's much better than the S10 and FM12 then. Because that's the thing I don't like with the S10. And the FM12 one's better, but I still am not a massive fan of it. Well, yeah, because it doesn't curl up. You have to twist it and hope it doesn't poke you too much. Oh, and you also got the fireproof hood. So what you're saying is you got a PMK-free for like £30 and an ROU and a fireproof hood thrown in for like another £30. That's a very good price. MUA has a voice diaphragm on, so that. But I'd also pick the GP5M over the regular GP5 for that reason. But yeah, with most masks, if you have pretty much the same mask design, one has a voice diaphragm on and one doesn't, I'd normally always go for the one with the voice diaphragm, unless there's a particular voice diaphragm that's like very prone to breaking or whatever. That's good, Chris. I'll definitely have to try and get one at some point, but yeah. It's nice to know that they've made a really good mask, at least, I guess. That's very good for £30. Normally, like the 4A1 on its own is close to £30, but yeah, sometimes you just get lucky, don't you, finding something for sale at a decent price. It would depend on what model of NBC suit it is, because you can get some NBC suits cheaply, some are more expensive, so it's really going to depend on the particular suit. Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of Soviet masks, isn't it, and tech like that, is as much as it might be a very common and cheaply made mask, it works and it's not going to break, or at least not going to break easily. Where there's some other masks I can think of, they're a lot more high tech, but they've got these really annoying little quirks with them, or something that would really make you question how functional they are. Well, Chris, like I said, Gen 2 night vision is another one of those things where if I spotted one for a really good price, I'd be tempted. If I didn't spot one for a good price, then no. The problem is with UK eBay and stuff like that, you very rarely see stuff like Gen 2s on there. Like with Gen 1s, a lot of them aren't even listed as like what gen they are. You just get stuff where somebody will just list it as night vision, not knowing what it is, or somebody who knows what it is and then wants a lot of money for it. As in the Polish MUA mask. Again, it's pretty much the same as any Shim 41 GP5 style mask. Good enough, but I suppose that's not an awful price, is it? But yeah, at the moment I'll leave it. But yeah, I'll definitely look around, and if something pops up, I'll get one. But so I was quite impressed when I was doing the comparison video earlier with how well Night Fox actually did by comparison. Like, I know I've tried to show this in here before, and it doesn't always work very well, but I just want to see if I can demonstrate this again, especially with its IR illuminator on like just the lowest setting, just because of how good this was. If Iron Man's on, you can have a chance to look through it in a sec. Yeah, obviously, head mounted is obviously a lot more practical, isn't it? So yeah, that's why I'm quite tempted at some point, Iron Man, maybe to get that thing, the one you were looking at, that's head mounted, the Night Fox, because it's a later model than this one. Also, I'm quite impressed with this one, to be honest. Especially, you know, now I've been playing about with it before, and you can compare and contrast it to other night visions. How much should I pay for a GP5? Well, I've already got a load, but £5 to £10. If you mean a full GP5 kit as well, then I'd pay a bit more. But again, GP5s are pretty worthless in terms of, you know, the numbers of them built. Let me look up which model it was. This one's a Night Fox ATR, because with some of the Night Foxes, I think there's updated models and they're given a different number, but they pretty much are very similar to older models. So yeah, let me look up the Night Fox, and I'll see which models currently show up on their website. So they've got the 100V on there, the 110R, the 119V, the 120R, and the torches. Right, so the one I've got isn't currently shown on their site, but out of all of them, probably either the 119V or the 120R. So the 119V is 1x magnification, 70 meter range. I guess that's the IR range on it, head mountable. The 120R is 3 times magnification, 150 meter range, records footage. So I'll probably just go for the one that you can record with. But saying that, it might be that the 120R is one you actually have to hold up to your face, because I definitely want a head-mounted one if I went for one now. Although, I don't know, with looking at them, maybe they're both head-mounted, and it's just whether you choose to head-mount it or not. But yeah, anyway, let me if I can try and get it to work on the camera, I can. Right. What I'll do is I'll turn this on then. I'll turn the other light off. I'll get that other NVG up. Right, annoyingly, I don't think I've put the batteries in totally flush. So let me just reseat the batteries while you sit in the dark. That's a shame, Rich, but yeah, it's better to be sensible with stuff like that, isn't it? You don't want to injure yourself and then have something that takes absolutely ages to heal up and it causes loads of problems. It might have been that bottom left battery. Right, let's just check if this power's on now. It was working earlier when I did the video, and now I can't seem to. It might be these batteries are low, I don't know. I can't remember if it gives you a battery indicator on the Night Fox or not. Right, let me just take them all completely out and put them back in. Right, so. But yeah, if for people asking me questions, I wouldn't recommend it while I'm fiddling about with night vision, because I'm just going to miss your questions. So ask me when I'm looking at the screen and actually chatting with people. But yeah, at the moment it's just a bit more interesting to obviously show some of this night vision on the stream rather than Also, I probably need to make sure that strap doesn't get in the way, because it could have been that was going over one of the contacts slightly, causing a problem. I think that may have been it, actually, looking at that. Let's get that one there. This one here. Right. So I'll demonstrate this first, and I'll show you the IR illuminator on it. So, yeah, there we go. It's turning on fine now. So, okay. So is that a really good one? Hype for the money, as in just a very good Gen 1 Plus, whatever. But yeah, if I show you this, if Iron Man's still on, hopefully he is, because it seems every time I get this out to show Iron Man, he always goes off. So right, the IR filter's on the front there, which is probably why you can't see much through it. So let's pull the IR filter off now. So that's its light amplification. And obviously bear in mind this is quite zoomed in. So let me get out the way. But there you can see the picture on there, right? Yeah. So that's that. And that's not got the IR illuminator on at the moment. That's just how it sees normally. So that's the Night Fox as it is. Let me put the IR illuminator on the lowest setting. There we go. Now, unfortunately, for whatever reason, there's a bit of interference through there on the webcam with it, but otherwise it can see fine. Yeah, so if their sensors are upgrading on the new models, I'd be very interested because they're not, if they're under 200 for some of these Night Fox models, brand new. Right, so anyway, this is the sensor on the lowest setting. So what I'm going to do now is just get that other night vision up to the camera and see if I can show you the IR illuminator's sort of quality. All right, and now I need to get the exposure fully back, don't I? No, which was the exposure one? That one. Right, okay, so let me hold this in front of the camera. So there's that. And if I get the Night Fox facing the right way, there's the Night Fox is illuminator at the lowest setting. If I get that back in frame again, it's quite hard trying to frame these both at once. Right, I'll put this just over the top of that one. That might work better. So yeah, that's the IR illuminator on the Night Fox on the lowest setting. And then what I can do is let me put the illuminator on to the higher settings when I get this back in place. This is why, yeah, it's definitely easier if you have, like you're saying, a thing to mount the bits together, isn't it? Right, let me get that back in frame. There we go. So yeah, it pretty much whites it out on the higher setting. But yeah, this is what annoys me, Mike. Every time Iron Man asks me about the Night Fox, he's never on to look at it. But yeah, in terms of light amplification, let me compare this to this actually quickly. Right, without the IR illuminator on, bear in mind, obviously, the Night Fox is more zoomed in, so I'm just trying to see. I think the Night Fox might actually be slightly better than the Cyclops, saying that, with its own light amplification. I mean, you can still see in color, which is what I like with the Night Fox, even though, you know, it's digital. That's the thing I do like, is when it knows there's enough light to see color, it will pretty accurately show you the colors. I can read that it says Draper on my silicon lubricant over there. It's hard to say, but the Night Fox is pretty good. The Night Fox can get quite staticky at times, though, on the screen. But yeah, if I have this on one, like, you know, the thingy bob one, this is almost really clear. So yeah, I really like the Night Fox, to be honest, with all this on it. So yeah, let me just let this turn itself back off. There we go, that's turning off. I won't bother closing the shutter this time, because it will be by the time I turn the light on again. But yeah, this is, to me, I find a Night Fox with the IR illuminator set to stage 1 really impressive. Because yeah, you can, right, there we go. So there's, let's just get this on the mask. Let me move this way a bit so you can see a different thing through it. So there's one of the posters. That's the poster of the GP5, right. There's the GP4M. Ooh, and there's the GP5. Tell you what, let me just turn the IR illuminator off again. So this is what it looks like with no IR illuminator, just a light coming off my PC screen. So you can see that that's meant to be brown and green. See the GP5 there? Sort of its grey colour. See the PTM1 there? I've not adjusted the focus here, actually, so it might even be the case that... Just pop that there like that. See if I can actually focus it even better on that GP5, because I might be... If I can get that back in frame. Oh, what am I doing? Right. So actually, I'll use the text to focus. That's blurrier, isn't it, that way? That's too far that other way. Yeah, that's pretty sharp now. Yeah. You can see the GP4 there is green, actually, saying that. If I get that back in frame. You can see that the Y2K or U2K is like a green-brown colour. You can see that green bit from that one. See that PTM. But yeah. But yeah, I don't think, sadly, they do this model anymore. But yeah, saying that, in hindsight, I'm actually a bit more impressed with the Night Fox than I used to be, because it gives you an idea, doesn't it, about how good some of these things are in comparison to other things. Yeah, lenses for NODs tend to be specifically made to be more permeable to light and IR spectrums. Right? Yeah, but what I will say is the Night Fox, compared to any other kind of digital camera I have, is far, far better at seeing in low light. Another thing with the Night Fox is if I use a camcorder I've got that can go into IR mode, so you can use it in the dark, you know, an IR light, it can never see as far, even with the exposure set as high as possible in the Night Fox, even if you're using the same IR illuminators for each of them. So yeah, I'm getting really tempted now at some point to get the top end Night Fox model, but only if it's head mountable. Let's have a look on their website and see if it actually does say, if I go into all the description about it being head mountable. So view and buy 119V versus 120R, right? So you can't do video on the 119V. Oh yeah, the 120R does have a head strap. Okay, right. So 120R, 150-meter viewing range at night, 3x magnification plus 2x digital zoom, records footage onto micro SD card, not included. 3 hours battery life with integrated USB rechargeable lithium battery. I suppose that's quite good if it's actually, as long as it's a decent battery in it, not a crap one. The 120R is supplied with head mount, great for hands-free use when you're stationary. Check out our 1x magnification Night Fox 119 volume 1 when you're on the move. So yeah, again, it depends, because although this one's head mountable, trying to walk with a thing with a 3x zoom. This one's actually a sensor resolution of 480p. I think some of the others are like 240p, so that's all right. But yeah, I suppose it swings and roundabouts. Do you want one that zooms in, that's head mountable, or do you want one that's zoomed out? Yeah. I find it really disorientating when I've just tried to walk with one up to my eye like that, which is zoomed in. You can do it, but yeah, it's very easy to trip over. All right, see you, Lord, if you're off. Right, this is, I think, an old one that they probably don't do anymore. It's called the 80R, just to show you that, because it's not on their website. But this was a good one. I just bought this one because it was a monocular, and at the time, it was the only one they sold that could do video. If my webcam will focus on the fact that it says 80R. Yeah, there we go, Night Fox 80R. It has got a camera mount on the bottom, so if you are going to record with something like this, always use a camera mount, because if you hold it like this, while it's fine for looking through, it turns out when you do video or pictures, they're always blurry, because I guess the sensor in low light, just that little bit of movement on your hands. Right, let me have a look at the Pulsar Challenge to see if anyone sells it. But let me look at that one. All right, yeah. So I'm interested in that. It's just whether or not, you know. Oh yeah, that's a nice head mountable thing then. Yeah. Oh, you can get that for £250 from Uttings, which isn't too bad. They're a place that sell like scopes and things. I'm just reading that, and I'll go back to the chat. Yeah, I'll definitely bookmark that, because yeah, that one looks quite good. You're right. But I'm also just interested in the whole thing of like how the digital night vision's coming along as well. So that's the sort of thing at the moment. Is it's becoming quite interesting to compare stuff like this to the other ones. So let me have a look on Amazon. Let me have a look. I've closed the window now, haven't I? Right. Pulsar Challenge. Yes. Right. Where are the features listed? On here, like the ones that are actually in it. it says if set up on a head mount, but no, they sell the head mount for £70 separately on this site. So if I was buying the thing, I'd definitely buy it with the head mount, or one that will fit on for less than that. Because yeah, £70 for literally a fabric strap with some plastic. But yeah, what I want to do is look on Amazon and see with the Night Foxes what models they've got on there and what prices they are. Just because I'm tempted. Right, so the 120R is $179.99. So yeah, it's the same prices as they list on their website. But yeah, they've got the 81R, which I guess is an improved version of the 80. I really don't know what the R's and V's and all the things in their name mean. But yeah, the improved version of this model is $89.99 on Amazon, which certainly isn't bad considering, how in the UK there's very few places that sell night vision. But yeah, I am sort of interested in the more expensive Night Foxes, although the reviews aren't as good on them. So let's see what the reviews say. Right, 12 ratings. The problem is, this is one of those things where some of the bad reviews, you can't tell if it's somebody who just doesn't know what they're buying. Because some people are complaining on these that, oh, it's a plastic sort of case on it. Not happy with the item, return the item. That's a good review, isn't it? That doesn't tell me what was wrong with it. Somebody's saying the image quality is poor, but again, what are they necessarily? That's the problem with Amazon reviews. I really don't know. Oh yeah, that's a very good point, Hype. Thanks for that. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you're gonna have lower FPS with digital. Yeah, it's like trying to walk around with a flare because that's only 9 FPS. It's not awful, but yeah, it's not great. Yeah, so sort of like this one that I've got, it's better just to use it as a monocular, sort of similar to using one of these as a monocular kind of thing. But when it comes to head mounting, always go for analog. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sort of quite interested to see how they're changing, and getting better or worse, and not worse, but you know what I mean, changing over time. But yeah, but it's quite an interesting thing, isn't it? But yeah, I'll have to do some research as well. But yeah, I've bookmarked that one you said about, but I won't necessarily buy it from that site. But whether or not I want to, after buying a load of night vision stuff recently, buy another bit of night vision, I think I'll wait and get some more gas masks or something first, and then, go for some more night vision later down the road. But it's all interesting stuff, isn't it? But one of the reasons I keep bringing up the Night Fox a lot at the moment as well is because Iron Man keeps coming on the streams, but then always disappearing when he actually. When I actually get the Night Fox out, was wondering about different Night Fox models. So there we go. But the Russians are oming, are they? Oming? All right, where's everybody in the chat gone then now? Unless my chat's just not updating itself. Problem is, if I have 5 this, it kicks me out the stream because YouTube's brilliant interface for streaming. So oh, you're here, good, Mike. Oh, you've all left, have you, Arlen? Even though you're still obviously talking. Right, thank you. That's fine. It's just sometimes when you haven't seen any new messages for a while, you think that something happened. Because I've had one stream before. I think the YouTube servers went down during the stream, but it took longer to kick me off the stream than stopping people commenting. So it was a weird thing where it looked like there was just nobody on stream, even though it said you had viewers. Yeah, well, it definitely would be a good thing, wouldn't it? Because you want more competition and more investment again, yeah. Because it'd be nice with the surplus market if stuff starts coming down cheaper like that, yeah. But it's interesting though that some security cameras have, you know, like have sensors in them, CMOS sensors in them that are that good. You know, because I'd have thought that, you know, let's see if the batteries are still charged in it. If the batteries are still charged in it, I'll demonstrate the difference between the Night Fox's CMOS and just a typical CMOS in a digital camcorder that can also do IR. So let me see if this still is charged. Right, I took the battery out, so hopefully that means it's going to. I don't have a battery SD card in it at the moment, so I'm hoping this is going to work. Right, let me remember how to do the functions on this camera if it powers on. Oh, good. Welcome. There we go. This was the camera I bought to replace my Handycam, only for the Handycam to start working again properly, and then having some issues with, I think it was like the inbuilt mic's quality on this. Right, so there we go. That's in IR mode. If right, I'll tell you what. Let me flick the lights off and see if you can actually see that. Right, so there's if that's not so glaringly bright you can't see it. Let's see if the webcam will focus on it. That's what this one looks like with the IR light and the sort of CMOS on it. The only problem is I can just put my finger there, can't I? That's the easy solution to that, to covering up the IR lights on it, if it will focus. That's interesting, yeah. It's just I just never have thought, you know, unless you're getting top end ones, they'd be efficient. But yeah, annoyingly now, this is like whiting out on the camera, which is, you know, typical. Oh, there we go. Is it because I'm covering that it's whiting out? It's interesting because I'm actually just covering up the IR light. But yeah, so the problem with this compared to Night Fox is the sort of range on it. Because this is actually pretty good for indoors. This is really good for indoors if you're like walking around somewhere and you want to use IR. I'll see if I can demonstrate why the Night Fox just looks a lot better. But it's hard to do on screen. That's the issue. But the problem I've had with this, for example, is if you go out and try and use it, the inbuilt IR is designed more for close range, as you can probably see from how it appears on the webcam. Whereas it won't throw them very far, but even if you use a separate IR illuminator, this still can't see very far. Whereas with the torch I bought off of Mike, if I put the IR illuminator bulb in there, that one you can see about 400 yards of the Night Fox. So yeah, let me take that filter back off. So see, that's that shining across it now. But maybe I can show you of colors actually. So let's find something where you can see a color quite easily. Probably some of the things up there. Maybe if I can get this positioned right again. What about that sign? Can you see the colours on the gas mask sign? If I can find it again. There's a poster. Right. Bear with me while I try and line this up, because this is fairly difficult with two things. Yeah, so there's the sign, but I mean, the colours on that, even on the Night Fox, you can't really see that's yellow, can you, at the moment? Oh, you can now. Right, now the IR light's not shining on it. Yes, you can see that sign's red and kind of an orangey yellow. The problem is with this. Oh, no, it's. Oh, bye. Okay, I might have done its auto power off. Let me just flick the Night Fox back off again. If they're ones that have the right IR equipment, Iron Man, they can see it, but as long as you're not waving them at the aircraft, it wouldn't matter. So now with this one, you might be able to see that you can barely see anything through it, like without the light on. And then if I put it into IR mode, wherever that button was again, that one. There we go. Let's see if this will actually show up anything again. But yeah, you can't really see colors on this one. You can, if you hopefully take my word for it, yeah, this is totally black and white. Whereas like the Night Fox isn't, which is kind of, you know, why I like the Night Fox. Right, let me turn the lights on in a second. Right. Now I can go back to the chat. Oh, that's a good price one, Martin. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't understand all the science behind it. It's very fascinating stuff, isn't it? Well, I'd assume so, Iron Man, because I've got the ATR. So I can tell you all about the ATR. In fact, I actually like this. But in terms of going to the 81R, I think it's just an improved version of it. So if it is an improved version, yes, it will be good. If it's actually where, you know, some companies improve a model and it's actually cheaper to make, then no. But, you know. So there we are. I don't know if that answers your question, Iron Man, but I suppose that's the best sort of answer I can give you. But saying with the Night Fox I've got, I'm impressed with it. And bear in mind, this is like £100 unit for this one. And for this, for £100 is very good. You'll get £100 use out of it. But again, like Hype was saying, if it's a thing of paying nearly £200 for the head mountable Night Fox versus £300 for a very good, you know, like Gen 1 sort of plus device. All right. So yeah, but personally, if I was thinking of getting another Night Fox and that particular model interested me, then I would get an 81R. But obviously, if I get another one, I'm not going for the one that's just an improved version of this one. But yeah, that should be cool, Chris. It'd be good to have a helmet set up, though, wouldn't it, with that and all that sort of stuff. That's very good to know. Yeah, I'll definitely look into it if I, you know, consider paying that sort of amount for a bit of night vision. But yeah, it's interesting, all these sort of different things. Yeah. Yeah. With the head mount ones, Iron Man, do you want one you can walk around with, or do you want one for observing? Because when I was looking at them just now, I think it's the 119V is 1x magnification, 120R's 3x. So yeah, you probably want the 1x one, as we were saying in the chat earlier, but I don't know if you missed that. All right, yeah. But I suppose it's always swings and roundabouts and stuff like that. I think I'd rather personally have a narrower field of view, but then a better image quality or something like that. Because, you know, as long as it's not a massive difference in field of view, I don't think it really. You'd want the 119V then, wouldn't you? Because yeah, if you don't want a zoomed in one if you're walking around. Yeah, I'd pay £20 for one of those helmets. So yes, Martin, that's worth it. Sometimes helmets like that on eBay you might find for 15, but if you can go in the shop, physically check they're in good condition, the liners are all intact, yeah, then yeah, find one. Yeah, for what you want it for, Iron Man, I'm sure the 119V would be fine. It's just, yeah, like Hype was saying, if you're filming the stuff, it doesn't have as good frame rate as using an analog night vision and all stuff like that. But oh, it has the integrated battery in that one as well. Apparently it's a widescreen monitor as well, but I don't know. Yeah, that's the funny. It's a widescreen monitor, but it's kind of like a 4:3 picture in the widescreen monitor. So there's always that. That was a good price for an advanced combat helmet. Yeah, so then that's definitely a good thing, isn't it, Hype? But yeah. That's the thing I like about the unknown Russian one I've got, is the sort of, how good that optics quality is, because although it's obviously due to age got a couple of little scratches on it, which you can really see if you put the digital camera up to it, when you look for it with your eye you don't really notice that, and it has got a very good like very little distortion at the edges. Yeah, the only thing, Iron Man, is with IR illuminators you will always be giving off a little bit of light. Let me show you an IR illuminator tiny torch I've got, not my good one. This one, here we go. Right, although it will appear different on the webcam to how it appears to my eye that appears dull red. To the webcam it will actually light up, but that's because the webcam can partially see IR. But basically it's a dull red. The Night Fox as well does have a thing over its IR thing, so when it shines it dulls it a bit more. It's not one-way glass, but it's that kind of thing where it makes it dimmer to the outside, so it's not as bright. But I still think in the dark somebody would really struggle to see how dim the like red glow is. All right, cool. Let me search exactly that then. Pulsar challenge. The 22-second one, yeah. Right, let me have a look at this. Yeah, there's very little distortion, is there? You're completely right. There's like a tiny bit, but yeah, very minuscule. Yeah, it looks very good. Yeah. Yeah, right, now let me close that window. Yeah, you definitely wouldn't see this from afar, Iron Man, because the torch I've got that's got a red light on that people can't see very easily, that still gives off far less light than this. And bear in mind, as I said, it's easier to see this on the camera than it is with your eye, just because of how the IR works. You'd probably want a better model than this one, but this one's also zoomable if you ever wanted one that you could, like a zoomable torch. But the best one I've got is, as I said, the one I bought off Weapon Collector, the one I bought off Mike, because that's the one where I've got the red bulb in it at the moment, but there is the IR bulb, and when I use that with the Night Fox, if I zoomed it as far as it would go, you could throw the light about 300, 400 meters. Oh, cheers, Trap Beats. That gets me a bit of money. Gives Bart a bit of money as well because he designs it. Which picture did you order on it? But yeah, I would certainly struggle. I'll tell you what, we can do a quick experiment before I end the stream. Let me put this on. See there? I'm just checking it isn't my hoodie reflecting in it. Hang on. Oh, it's my hoodie reflecting it. I thought that was like the actual red color it was then. What I want to do is get this IR light. If somebody makes one, you could. Definitely Iron Man. I don't know if anybody makes one, but yeah, in theory, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get an LED IR for a mag light, for example. Yeah, it's that one, isn't it? Like the hunting one where you can put the IR one in, or the green one, or the red one. I use it with the red one, just so I've got a red torch most of the time. But yeah, the IR bulb was really impressive in it. Just an enthusiast iced, as I've said quite a few times. Right, so anyway, let me just do what I was going to do. So just for your curiosity's sake, Iron Man, what I'm going to do is put this across the room somewhere. I'm just trying to find... I'll tell you what, I'll put my camera tripod. Then it's right across the room. I'll flick the light off. I'll flick this light off. Yep. So I can see it's red, but to give you some idea of like how much it shows up, Iron Man, it's literally less bright than like the red charging light you'd have on some electronics. So where my microphone's got a red light on it to tell me it's on, it's dimmer than that. But this would still light up with a Night Fox, for example, quite far. Again, more powerful IR bulbs might potentially, you know, make a brighter red thing on it. But yeah, you're right. It's not going to be easy for somebody to spot, especially if, you know, they don't know to look for it. The only thing I was going to say, Iron Man, the only problem I found using IR illuminators is if there's a lot of foliage, for example, you won't be able to see well through the foliage, because what will happen, the IR light hits the foliage, so you know, like the branches and long grass and stuff like that, then it kind of whites out in your face, because obviously the light is hitting something very close and reflecting straight back at you. That's the only thing to point out. If you're in a clearing or walking down a path, it's definitely not a problem. But if you were trying to peer through a hedgerow, unless you'd got your head far enough through with the like thing mounted on it, you'd see a lot of light reflecting back at you. Right, JK101? Because I would say with my green optical night vision, that is a much better thing with that compared to the Night Fox, at least. But if I'm looking at stuff, it's easier to see kind of through, although you still, again, if the IR light's only hitting it and can't get through, you're not going to see through it. But in that regard, if I don't know if I'm making sense of this, but, you know, if that makes sense. If I was physically trying to, you know, sneak through some foliage, let's say, the Night Fox wouldn't be as good as the optical night vision for that if you had the IR lights on both, because it doesn't tend to white out so much on the green night vision for some reason. But all right, cool. So is there a camera, or do you mean like you put your camera up to the night vision and film through that? So is that where it like essentially adjusts how bright and dim it is, rather than just whiting out? Because obviously that would be really helpful on night vision. I think it probably would be fine for that, Iron Man. I'm just trying to think of all the things you might want to know before getting it, in case you get it and then find. All right, yeah. I thought that would probably have been the case. Then I was just questioning it. I was like, do they have a built-in recorder? What's the best night vision? Probably current military gen stuff. You ought to ask Hype about that, because he knows a lot more than night vision about me, but it's quite interesting. I don't know if always better would be true on that iced, because I've had some mil SERP stuff before that's been complete junk in terms of quality control. Ah, cool. So it's like an exposure thing, like the easy way of thinking about it. But yeah, that's a very good feature, actually, isn't it? Because as I said, the problem I found with night vision so far is that if you want to look into some shadows and there's a light source, with some of them you get kind of like the lens flare-y thing where, you know, that light source is kind of making it harder to see than it should do. I'll be off the stream in a couple of minutes. I'm sure Mike's streaming about 9 o'clock, are you? If he's still on. Yeah, so it's all in all a very good thing. Yeah. So you'll be on at 9 p.m. Cool. I will be watching your stream then at 9 p.m. If you had a paint that reflects IR and you had the IR illuminator on and you shone it over them, yes, they would show up on the night vision and reflect back the light. But they'd have to be a paint that's reflective enough. All right, cool. I'll definitely have a look. But yeah, I'll have a look as soon as this stream ends at the videos. Cheers, Trap Beeps. But yeah, right. As tomorrow's Saturday, I won't be streaming tomorrow because obviously I'm work and then I'm work Sunday. So when I get home Saturday, I just like to rest and try and recover as much before the next day of work. But I will be on Sunday evening. I assume probably 8 p.m. sort of time, but at the moment I don't know exactly. If it takes longer, I might be on at 9 p.m. sort of time, but I will be on Sunday. I can't see why I won't be unless I have a computer malfunction or something. But yeah, thanks everybody. It's been a good stream. Hopefully we've all learned something about night vision. I've certainly learned some stuff from Hype about it as usual. Yeah, and that's the thing. Some camos are better than others for IR. The coolest one that I've seen is, and I've done this in a video, is the old Czechoslovakian camo. The one that actually has a separate pattern on it if you look at it through a night vision device. I imagine with green night vision, though, unless you're using the IR illuminator, it won't see that. I'll have to try that. I'm very interested now. But yeah, it's the kind of like Czech needle pattern that's a bit like Czech strict arm. It has like a separate ink they use on it, so night vision sees, a different thing. But yeah, and that's like what Hype was saying. Yeah, certain detergents will cause it to white out on the thing as well. You have to donate to get on it, Arlen. Even if you just donated $1 once, that's enough. But yeah, it's for people that have donated. But anyway, I'll be off now because otherwise I'll never go off and I'll keep answering every comment. But yeah, thanks everybody. So no stream tomorrow, should be one Sunday, 8 or 9 p.m. UK time. What I was saying that, just something to bear in mind, I think it's this Sunday, isn't it? The clocks go back. So although I'd still be doing it at whatever the equivalent of 8 or 9 p.m. is my time, bear in mind in some time zones that will have changed. Right, yeah, thank you, Hype, for all your answers to things about night vision. That's been very interesting. And good evening, everybody. Good night, whatever. See ya.